Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the group chat with Mr. Alan McInally and me, Will Perry from Footy Accumulators and Betfair. Look, so much has been said, Al, about Liverpool, hasn't it? In the last, since the turn of the year, really, since the results. And of course, we've heard the news about Jurgen Klopp as well, which is just awful news that he couldn't attend his mother's funeral. But from a football point of view, the importance of the Champions League now for Liverpool and for Jurgen Klopp.
Well, let's start with him wanting to bring in new players to the football club. Because if you're one of the top European players, you want to be playing in the top competition. And if Liverpool are not in that top four, Europa League, really? I mean, okay, it's still a European competition, but let's face it, even Manchester United and Spurs, etc., who are in the Europa League this season, they don't want to be in that competition. They want to be in the Champions League, and that's not where they are. And that would be a problem for Jurgen, I would imagine, albeit that he has a charisma and personality that he could still get players to come to Liverpool, but certainly not as easy, Will. I mean, in top four for Liverpool, it's just a must. It's just they've got to get to the top four. It'd be unthinkable for them to drop that far away. But the juggling of the players and different positions, etc., you can say whatever you want about it. The guys have done their very best, but it's not worked because they haven't had results. And losing players in specific positions is just done this season for Liverpool that they probably never thought it would happen after the way they played last year. But they have got to get top four.
Yeah, but look, they've got to get top four. But is this an opportunity really to have a bit of a renaissance? Because look, they're out of the FA Cup. The Premier League title is gone. Even Jurgen Klopp has said that. So, this is all that is left. And it's a tricky tie out against Leipzig over 2 games.
Very, very. I mean, really tricky. Leipzig have gone really well this season. I mean, Bayern are top, having said that, but only 5, 6, 7 points it is. And Bayern drew the other night there, so Leipzig closed the gap on them as well as with Dortmund, although they've not been brilliant either. But certainly, the Champions League is still one that he will want to go, obviously, as deep in the competition as he can go. But of all the places he wants to go, and of course, it's in a neutral place as well, so the whole thing's weird for many reasons. But 3 weeks ago, well, I think you and I spoke about this, and I thought, I don't Liverpool won't win the league. I don't think they'll win the Champions League, but I think they'll get top four. And now I'm thinking, well, they won't win the Champions League, they won't win the league, and they might not get to top four. I mean, really? I mean, it's that important and that bad a situation for Liverpool at the moment that they need to get their finger out. It didn't work with the young lad at the back the other day with him and Alisson clashing into each other and Vardy sticking it in easy peasy. And I'm going to say again, and I said it on this programme on our group chat, I think he's a better defender at the moment than anybody at Liverpool who's fit to play Ben Davies.
Ben Davies, wow! Imagine that as an introduction into that Liverpool team in the Champions League. And look, you love Julian Nagelsmann, and I think everyone does who watches European football and watches Leipzig. He's sort of being tipped for the next big job, whether that be a Barcelona or whether that be a Real Madrid, and of course loads of teams in England as well. But let's not forget, this Leipzig side got absolutely schooled by, at the time, a very average Manchester United team. And I know Leipzig won in Germany 3-2, but it was 5-0 at Old Trafford.
Speaking about that the other night, funnily, Will, to Palomine is a big Man United fan. And he had reminded me that, because I'd said, in Europe away, you've not been brilliant. He said, Al, we absolutely nailed Leipzig. And we were like, it wasn't even a competition, to be honest. They were so good, Manchester United. And whether it was just one of those nights that everything went for them, so be it. But they obviously have a performance in them, Leipzig, that's not going to be what Nagelsmann would want. I still think I shouldn't say that Solskjaer's still in a job, but I genuinely thought that he was top of the list, Nagelsmann, for Man United. I really did. Because although he's done a brilliant job at Leipzig, he's not going to get the Bayern job, he's not going to get the PSG job, and he's not going to get the Barcelona job. So I was like, okay, it's only Man United destined for Nagelsmann. It's obviously not happened because Ollie stormed the ship a bit round there. Man United have been playing a little bit better. But, I suppose any manager, you could say you're only keeping the seat warm for someone else coming in. But there's still a shaky peg on the seat that Solskjaer's sitting in. And in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we'll decide whether he'll be the manager next year, I think.
Al, the Lionel Messi story is got some legs again. it hasn't gone away. Manchester City thought they had it done, didn't they? Pep Guardiola in the summer was out in Barcelona, and then he had to sort of self-isolate when he came back. So he was convinced he was coming back on that plane with Lionel Messi. The contract situation is still there. He's out of contract at the end of the season. Ronald Koeman is saying that, look, he's happy now. He's excited about being part of this Barcelona team once again. They're well off the pace. They're well off Atletico Madrid, but I think they've won 7 on the spin, Barcelona. So they have improved, clearly, and any team will with Lionel Messi in it. But there's talk of PSG. There's talk of Paris Saint-Germain coming in and getting this deal done at the end of the season. And obviously Manchester City as well. Now we know that Pep Guardiola is going to be staying at least for the next couple of years at Manchester City. Do you think that City will go back in for him? It was interesting that after the Tottenham game, he even said, look, we don't have a player like Lionel Messi. I'd love a player like Lionel Messi. That was his words, to be scoring the goals because they're keeping clean sheets. There's a big blue brick wall at the back, but they haven't got that flair in terms of goal scoring up front. So if you're Lionel Messi, it's 2 questions. Do you go PSG? Do you go back with Pep? And if you're City, do you go back in for him?
Yes, and it's you that wants Messi to come to Manchester City, and I understand that.
Everyone does. You find me someone who follows a Premier League team or someone just in England who follows an English football team who wouldn't want to see Messi in this country, and I'll show you a liar.
Okay, Man United, Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea.
They still want him. They still want to play against him, don't they? Of course they do. They would want to eventually, when we get fans back in, they'd want to go to Old Trafford and see Messi rock up in a City shirt or a Chelsea shirt or whatever, or a Burnley shirt.
Yeah, well, I've said on the group chat, to be fair with you and I, that there's very little times I really thought that Messi would ever leave Barcelona, ever. And then in the summer, the whole thing went weird, like proper weird. And Messi's not happy. And but even after the settling down period, and you quite rightly said, I think they're on a decent run at the moment, there's still a couple of rumours coming out of Spain that's given that Messi's not happy at Barcelona, regardless of what Ronald Koeman says. And Ronald Koeman's not going to say Messi's not happy, for God's sake. And he's still playing for a wonderful football club at Barcelona. But the biggest thing, one of the biggest things, Will, is Barcelona haven't 2 coins to rub together, apparently. They are so much in debt. And I'm talking like, 500 million or something in debt. It's something crazy. Now, to keep Lionel Messi on the books, well, I don't know. You're going to have to juggle all over the place to try and do something with the money situation. And it's the first time in terms of him still being like apparently not happy, even though he's obviously playing. The money situation that Barcelona find himself in, I'm like, well, there's only one thing that can possibly happen, is that Lionel Messi moves on to other pastures. And I've already said to you as well, can he go to Italy? I don't think so. Who's he going to go to? Inter, AC, Juve? Juve's already got Ronaldo. So I'm thinking, okay, he can go to one team in Spain, one team in England. Having said that, would Manchester United try and kibosh that? Would he go to Manchester United, Will? Would Messi go to Man United with Pep Guardiola?
He wants to win something, doesn't he?
Oh, that's nasty. But having said that, my point was really being, is he going to go to Manchester United when Pep Guardiola is already the manager of Man City? No, of course he's not. So basically, Pep's got 2 more years. Messi's 33. Still looks absolutely fantastic. And even though people are saying, oh, it's too late for him to come to England, people are saying that because they've never actually saw him live. And even at 33 years old, trust me, he's still so good and could definitely play in the Premier League. And it just seems inevitable for me that I'm sorry for harping on here, and a very long, convoluted way to say Pep Guardiola and Man City seem the biggest and best marriage for Lionel Messi if he decides to leave Barcelona. Simple as that.
Al, which player are we going to see in the Premier League first? Erling Haaland, who we are huge fans of, or Jadon Sancho? Both of them, of course, doing their stuff at Borussia Dortmund. Jadon Sancho amazingly slipped out of the net from Manchester City for just 10 million quid. 10 million pounds Dortmund got him for. Never played a game for Manchester City. And then suddenly he's in the Bundesliga ripping it up and looks like he's still going to go to the Euros. He's having a decent season at Dortmund. Not quite as good as last season, but he's still having a good season, isn't he? And Erling Haaland as well, just 20 years old. He's got a release clause, and it's an interesting one because it hasn't really been confirmed this. He's got an agent called Mino Raiola, who we know Manchester City don't like dealing with. Thank you to Yaya Toure. But Erling Haaland potentially could be leaving next year. It's a release clause which would be activated not until 2022. It's worth around £68 million. So if you're a top team, I'm not just saying Manchester City, if you're a top club, you'd surely now be negotiating and go, forget the £68 million next season. We'll give you 100 right now, or 150 just to get him over the line. But do you think he's going to come to the Premier League? And out of those two, Sancho and Haaland, where would they go? And who's coming to the Prem first?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think they'll both come to the Premier Division. I think they'll both end up here. I really do. Haaland's been good this year, but you're right. Sancho hasn't been anywhere near as good. And by the way, Manchester United dithered to try and get Jadon Sancho. They couldn't get it over the line because they were trying to save €8 million. And Dortmund had said, look, he's 108 million, not 107 or 106. We want 108 million. And Man United couldn't come up with it. And by the way, if they've got anything about the Man United, they should be in talks with Raiola right now for Haaland. Right now. Absolutely. Cavani's 34. Martial looks as if he couldn't give a damn where he plays. Not in great form. You know, I like Rashford and Greenwood anyway. And out with that, who's going to come into Manchester United and score you goals? They should be talking to Raiola right now for Haaland for sure. Sancho's a different one for me. Well, I think he fluctuates quite a lot. You know, it's still a young guy and he plays a wide position. And he just had such a purple patch last season scoring goals, and Dortmund were absolutely flying, as were both of those players. But to answer your question, I think they'll both come to England. I think that Man United might not be as dithering as they were and try and get Sancho this summer. I think he was high on the list. And the Haaland thing, I suppose, with his connection with his father at Manchester City, might even end up at Manchester City. So I think they might be living up in Cheshire next to me in a couple of years.
Well, that's what I'm clinging on to, that hope that Alfinger Haaland, his dad, used to play for Manchester City. Erling was actually born in Leeds. He was born in Leeds.
Oh, of course,
when obviously his dad was playing there. And so, he's already got those roots to the north of England. But look, finally on that, if Manchester United somehow are to get hold of Haaland and Sancho, does that suddenly escalate them to sort of, title favourites?
Well, title favourites... Well, if you're spending that kind of money, excuse me, you'd expect that tag to go on to you. I mean, it's quite difficult looking into the crystal ball here. I mean, when you watch both players, they're both fantastic. We've already said we'd love to see Messi here. And some of the young talent that's in Europe, we'd love to see them here. And with the connection that they've already got, obviously, with this country, then you can't expect them just to land on our doorstep. But you forget that you've got likes of Juve and AC Milan and Paris Saint-Germain and Barcelona and Real Madrid, who are all capable, maybe not so much Barcelona after me saying earlier on in group chat that they have huge money problems, but they're all capable of hijacking a young player like that and taking them to different shores from us. But there is something within those two players that I hope we might get to see them in these shores, and hopefully they do. Both great players. Providing the safe bit, with a bit of luck, we'll see them.
I want to talk to you about Timo Werner. I was at the Chelsea-Newcastle game, and he finally ended this drought. And it's been a long, long wait for Timo Werner scoring a Premier League goal. I know he scored in the FA Cup against Morecambe. That doesn't count in this sense.
No.
And look, it was 1,000 minutes and 31 attempts he's had in that time. And to be fair to him, he's got more to his game than scoring goals. But we all expected goals because of the numbers that he was producing at Leipzig. He cost £45 million. I think it's fair to say he has been a letdown in that sense. And the same as Kai Havertz. We both expected them to hit the ground running, didn't we? What's that like as a striker, Al, when you've had a drought like that? I don't know how the longest one you had was.
20 minutes.
Also now, I knew that was coming. And also that connection with Thomas Tuchel. I could hear it because I'm sat a metre away from Tuchel and he's screaming at Timo Werner. My German's not great, but there's a communication, there's a chemistry there. He's talking to him throughout the whole game. And I interviewed Timo Werner after the match and he said, he's there. He's kicking me in the backside the whole time. He's on his tails. That wasn't necessarily there with Frank. I'm not saying that the chemistry wasn't, but something seems to have clicked with Werner. Can you see him now going on and kicking on and, being worth that £45 million tag?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to write to Timo Werner because he owes me a tenner because I thought he would get 2 goals last night and he didn't get it. He only got 1. So that was my bet down, because and I only had the bet, Will, for the simple reason that I actually thought that he would have some reaction with Tuchel. You know, having the same language, having the same encouragement, not different encouragement, the same encouragement. Frank would have wanted them to do all those things. But there's no question when he plays in front of the manager's not going to just not say anything to him, considering he can shout whatever he wants in a language he understands. And that's why I think it'll help Havertz as well. Once he gets back into the show, I think Tuchel will help him as well. So one of the main reasons maybe that Chelsea have decided to bring them in, having spent big money on the players, is the fact that he might be able to get over to them through their own language. It's as simple as that. But listen, I like Timo Werner. I still think he's going to be a success. I really do. And I'll tell you something else last night. Well, I don't know if everybody watched the game. He took a bang in the mouth a couple of times. And one of them was a beauty. And, drew blood. And, you can feel a bit sorry for yourself. And, oh, my goodness. And it's not. Didn't do that. He was like, bugger. You know what I mean? I'm like, and then he came back into the game. And then he was wide. He was coming inside. Okay, we want him to score goals. But to be fair, if he has 5 assists the next 5 games without scoring, Tuchel will be happy. Do you know what I mean? But there is pressure on him with a 45 million tag to get the goals that he got at Leipzig. And I still think he's going to be a big success. But I like the fact he took one in the mush and it didn't affect him. And he kept on going and basically got on with it rather than feeling sorry for himself. I think that's a good characteristic in him.
Okay, midweek acca time, boys. Sam Rosbottom from Betfair is here. We're going to go for Wednesday's games. And as always, I'm going to kick off with Manchester City because they're never letting us down at the moment. There goes the sheet of paper. Oh, it's gone up to 50. It was 40 last week. Manchester City, Sam, to win at Everton at Goodison Park to make it 17 wins on the bounce. Incredible run from Pep Guardiola. And I'm going to go for a Champions League game. Champions League is back this week. Juventus to win in Portugal at Porto, who they are struggling in the Portuguese league. They're 10 points off Sporting. They've drawn their last 4. I know Juve aren't having a great time with Inter Milan cruising things in Italy, but I'm going to go for, Manchester City and Juventus, Sam.
Yeah, so Manchester City, not quite 1 to 50, like Al said, but still the odds-on favourites at 1 to 3 on the sportsbook to go to Goodison and win. Everton 15 to 2, the draw 9 to 2 there. Like you mentioned, both teams are struggling domestically in the Porto and Juve tie. However, the punters do think with that Ronaldo factor that Juventus will have the edge over in Portugal. They are even money to beat Porto, who are 16 to 5, the draw 23 to 10 in that one.
Okay, so not quite 50s, Al, but thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Who are we going for? What do you fancy this week?
I'll take the other game on the Wednesday, the Sevilla-Dortmund game. Dortmund were very poor against Hoffenheim, squeezed the draw. I thought they were going to get beat. If they play like that in Spain, they've absolutely no chance. Sevilla, top 4, top 5 in Spain right now. They're not that far away from even thinking about a second place might be possible. So they're strong at home, Sevilla. So I'm going to go Sevilla to beat Dortmund, and then I'm going to dip my toe into a team that's not let me down very much this season and go Swansea. Swansea have won 4 of the last 5, but they're playing Forest, who have won 2 on the bounce. I think Swansea will be too strong for them.
Yeah, so looking at the Champions League game, first of all, as you rightly say, Sevilla got some really good home form at the Sanchez Pizjuan, and they're 13 to 10 to beat Dortmund, who are 21 to 10. The draw there 12 to 5. Swansea again, they're really pushing, aren't they? They're 21 to 20 to beat Notts Forest, who are a 3 to 1 shout. The draw also 21 to 20 in that one. So all in then, fellas, the fourfold: City, Juve, Swansea, and Sevilla, all to win, coming out around 12 to 1.
Ooh.
Like that. Look, we've got a bit of everything as well. A bit of Championship, a bit of Premier League, and a bit of Champions League for you. Enjoy. Right, Al, exciting week ahead. We've got some good Championship games. The Champions League is back, and of course the Premier League as well. The midweek matches, Manchester City looking to make it 17 wins on the spin, which is just incredible. And they've got the chance on Sunday if they win at Goodison Park to beat Arsenal and to make it 18, and the ship keeps moving forward. I'm doing that game. We're doing Arsenal Manchester City on Sunday.
Ooh.
And one I'm really looking forward to that I'm doing on Saturday night is Fulham against Sheffield United, because for me that is the biggest game of Fulham's season. They have to win. They have to beat Sheffield United at home. If they do that, Al, Newcastle next up, and they're just above the dotted line, have got Manchester United. Fulham also play Burnley. So look, that's a tough stretch to say Fulham are going to beat Burnley and Sheffield United. But even if they just beat Sheffield United at home and Manchester United turn over Newcastle, that's 4 points. That is not where we saw Fulham 6-7 weeks ago. They are in the race. They're in the mix to stay up. Can they do it, Al?
I thought the performance against Everton was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I thought they were absolutely brilliant. I didn't see anybody sulking. I didn't see heads down. I saw them trying to play, create chances. I just thought they were fantastic. I just thought they were absolutely brilliant. And if you actually, funnily enough, Will, and I always say this to you sometimes, a team can genuinely be a reflection of the manager. Have you seen how positive he has been over the last 3 or 4 weeks, Scott Parker?
Yeah.
Because he saw a little chink about a month ago, 5 weeks ago, that although they were losing a couple of games, there was something there, and he's banged onto the lads not to drop that level of performance in terms of, you've got to keep going at this because it'll come. And it genuinely has. I mean, I think this is a really difficult period for Newcastle, because the fact that we're talking about Fulham, maybe can Fulham? No, surely not. But watching them against Everton, I was like, wow, I didn't see that at any time. And I've said to you before, I watched Fulham, and I was like, no. Who's scoring goals for them? I'm not a big fan of Mitrovic anyway. I think he's a championship player. And all of a sudden, Deco Diva Reid comes in. They're grabbing a couple of goals. They're getting a couple of goals from wider areas. And it's the first time, genuinely, I was like, they might be able to do this. And it will be down to the next 3 or 4 games, because if they can do that and certainly beat Sheffield United, you're right. This is a must-win. But at the same time, it's still a tough game, because Sheffield have all not turned any corners, but I know they're getting beat, but they just seem to be a little bit better than they were. I mean, I'm going to ask you to call it, because I can't. But I need to be genuinely honest with you and say there's still a lot of work for Fulham to do to get themselves out of it. And although this is a must-win game, there's still another 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games that will decide whether or not in the Premiership. And I just can't see it.
Well, I think, this is their cup final, isn't it? This is the game that they have to win to actually put them in a relegation fight realistically. And do you know what? Guess who Fulham play on the last day of the season?
No, they don't. Sheffield United.
Newcastle.
Oh, sorry, Newcastle.
Fulham Newcastle's the last game of the season. So I mean,
in
look,
London.
it could go to that. I'm not sure where it is. It could go to that. And look, it's like some sort of David Attenborough wildlife documentary, isn't it? They've got them in their sights now. It's at Craven Cottage, last day of the season. Craven Cottage on the 23rd of May. So there we go. Look, it may well be done before then anyway. Where can we watch the Housewives' favourite this week on Sky or?
Housewives' favourites in the studio on Tuesday, Wednesday. I think I'm in the studio. I don't know where I am at the weekend yet, because with everything being kind of juggled up and games being cancelled, etc., I still don't know. But I will be on the TV somewhere for the Housewives to swoon all over.
And me, and I will be swooning as well. Housewives, house husbands, we will be swooning. We'll see you next week, Al. Cheers, mate.